guests who are here tonight. Welcome to the July 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting. As with our other meetings, this meeting is being recorded on City Madison YouTube channel for live streaming as well as viewing later. We'll begin by standing and reciting the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Patrick Kavanaugh.
Here.
Carla Krebs.
Here.
Lucy DeTillo's absent. Josh Schaefer.
Here.
Joel Storm.
Here.
Jim Bartlett.
Yes, here.
Josh Wilbur.
Here.
Council, have you had an opportunity to review the June 18th council minutes? If so, we'll entertain a motion to approve them, please.
I will note there is a correction to be made. I was mentioned as both present and absent on the notes, and Mr.
How'd you do
Thevenall,
that?
and Councilman Thevenall was not listed as present, so we need to mark out my name and put Thevenall in. I don't know, but it was a great trick for me to be able to do that, so.
Any other amendments to the minutes?
I move that with that correction, we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right,
Who was the second? I'm so sorry. Check. Thank you.
moving on, I will just make an announcement, and I know we don't have a huge crowd here tonight, but we will not be discussing the zoning amendment recommendation from the Plan Commission with regard to the solar facility. That will appear in its first reading at the August 6th meeting. I'm sorry, July 15th. It'll be on first reading July 15th and then public discussion August the 6th.
So you sure, so that's the 16th, right? July 16th.
July 16th, excuse me, yes, July 16th. I don't know if that's why anybody's here or not. I just want to make that announcement. And then, moving on. Okay, what's your question, Rick?
Okay, I don't understand.
Please go to the podium if we're going to make a,
Oh, yeah.
it's not public comment period yet, but
I had
do you have a question on the, do you have a question on the agenda?
I have a question on the agenda, or
Okay.
what you're saying, you're put on first reading for July 16th, the zoning issue, and I'm just questioning why present a first reading if it's already been established from the panel on zoning unanimously, even though I know not 9 people were there. But, why have the zoning meeting if you're just going to go ahead and do the
Well,
resolution?
right now, there's still an active application for the zoning change, and the Plan Commission has given it a recommendation to come to the city council meeting where the decision will be made on what the zoning is. So it has to come to city
I
council.
didn't hear that. Is that what you said? You said you voted it down.
Nope, they gave an unfavorable recommendation.
Okay.
So it has to come to city council as
Okay.
part of the process.
All right.
All right, thank you. So first reading of that will be at the July 16th meeting. Okay. There are no petitions, memorials, remonstrances, or bills to discuss tonight. Reports or recommendations from other business or standing select committees. Moving on, we'll do reports of city officials. I'd like to invite Madison Police Department Chief Sean Scudder here, and for the oath of office for our newest recruit, C.J. Miller.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good evening.
Evening. This is C.J. Miller, our newest officer. He came to us from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, where he's been a deputy since 2016. He was a detective in 2019. He became detective, and I'm proud to say that he's my first hire as chief of police because he's a good one. You reading that or?
The oath.
Yeah.
Oath of office. And, is this your wife?
This is my wife, yes.
Would she like to join you with the oath of office?
Yes, she would.
You'd like to stand right here? And what's your name? City, please repeat after me. I, Charles C.J. Miller,
I, Charles C. Miller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana.
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
And I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of a City of Madison police officer
discharge the duties of the City of Madison police officer
to the best of my ability
to the best of my
and
ability,
according to law.
according to law,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations and welcome to the Madison Police Department and City of Madison family. Appreciate you.
So Sean, what did you do to get him to come over from the county? You don't have to state it. You don't have to state it. You just
We
said,
can
hey,
talk
this is
later.
a better place, right? No.
Yes.
Great job.
Congratulations and again, welcome and thank you for serving our community. It's an extremely important job, as you know. And thank you for bringing your experience and commitment to our city. Thanks, CJ.
That's awesome.
Chief, did you have anything else to add while we were on the MPD? Okay. Council, if you'll turn to the next page in the agenda, this is an ARPA plan update. I know a few of you were not here in July of 21. You probably remember and perhaps ready to forget all that we went through during the public health emergency with the coronavirus. What had came out of that was the American Rescue Plan Act. And what council did in 2000, there was many programs, CARES Act program, but quite a bit of funding to support community resiliency and keeping our businesses operating. But we adopted a plan in 2021 called the ARPA Local Plan. And essentially what it did was appropriate how we intended to invest approximately $2.7 million of ARPA funds. Much of those funds, as I'll go through this report, have been expended. There are deadlines with expending the funds. There's also deadlines with obligating the funds. But in this report, what you'll see is approximately 19% of the $2.7 million remains to be expended. And we have funding left over in the stormwater infrastructure and planning to be obligated by the end of 2024 and expended in by the end of 2026. There's also a small portion of speeding the recovery of tourism funds that will need to be obligated and expended in that time frame, and a small amount of park improvements that we had appropriated to be obligated and spent. So overall, there's 19% of the 2.7, which is $500,344.65 to be obligated by the end of this year and spent by the end of 2026. Most of the money's already been obligated. There's a very small part that has not been obligated. It's been appropriated. As you can see, there were several areas where it's appropriated: stormwater infrastructure and planning, matching grant funds, speeding the recovery of tourism, premium pay for essential workers, public sector revenue loss due to COVID, and City of Madison park improvements. Those were the areas in which the ordinance appropriated the funds. And then you'll see on this sheet the areas in which they were committed to be expended after they were appropriated. We'll we'll keep you updated on this as we progress through the year. But there's $500,000 that will continue to invest in these categories that we'd identified in our local plan. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Bob, on the fire department and the watercraft, are they identified a watercraft that they're going to purchase, or is that?
Working on that collaboration with Jefferson County EMA
Okay.
and Jefferson County Commissioner's Office. So that 100,000 there would go toward a match requirement for the actual watercraft.
Okay.
And we're working on speccing that out and determining how that fits with EMA versus City Madison police and fire needs.
Okay, thank you.
So who will operate that? Do we know yet?
Don't know yet. It needs to be a City of Madison and police and fire accessible watercraft, but we know that there's going to be needs elsewhere, so we're working through that. The boat hasn't even been completely spec'd, and there's no interlocal agreement right now. This is just money set aside that if the watercraft is identified and the cost and the grants associated with obtaining it, this $100,000 would go toward a match requirement on that watercraft. We do need to obligate this money by the end of the year, so we are working with Jefferson County EMA, with police and fire on identifying one.
What is the hurdle for the obligation? What do you have to do?
It's essentially a commitment. It's a purchase order. It's a contract. It's essentially designating and restricting the funds for that intended purpose. So, the other side of that coin is if we determine we don't need all that money, for example, for a match, or we want to move it into another category, or we can't obligate it for that specific purpose by the end of the year, then we'll move the money around. We'll move it into an area. We have plenty of reasons for these dollars, but they can move within these categories in which they were appropriated.
But by the end of the year, assuming we don't change it, we have to have a purchase order or contract for the watercraft.
For it to be considered obligated.
Obligated, yeah.
Or, and there's other ways too, but it basically has to have a contractual agreement in order to qualify to being obligated, and then once it's obligated, it can't be spent for anything else. Then it has to be expended by December 31st, 2026. So the plan has worked, and we've made some very sizable investments. As you can see, 50% of that investment is going into parks, and 21% is going into stormwater infrastructure and planning, and both of those were critical needs for the city. Any questions on ARPA plan update? We'll continue to give you progress. I'll give you another quarterly progress by end of the third quarter. Believe it or not, we're in the third quarter now, but by the end of September, we'll have another update for you. All right, hearing nothing, then I'll ask Deputy Mayor McGee to give us an update on our not one, but two CCMG projects.
Good evening, Council. As you know, we have lots of projects going on across the city, so I wanted to update you on a few of them that I'm involved in. And we are starting to wrap some of them up, so that's good news. So the CCMG, we have two CCMG projects going on right now. Both are almost finished. The first one is the O'Mara project, which I don't know if you'll remember was some on the hilltop, some downtown. So Blackmore on the hilltop, that road is done. There are two things they have to go back and finish there. The piece of equipment hit a storm sewer cover. They're going to have to come back and cut that out and fix that. And there is a corner, I think it's at Ross and Blackmore, that the drainage does not work correctly, and so they are going to come back and fix that as well as part of the project. Michigan Road was part of that. It is done. Striping is mostly done. I believe they still need to come back and put the bike symbols in for the share the path, share the roadway. 2nd Street in Mulberry. So that's one of the areas where we worked in conjunction with the Economic Development Department, the DG Market, the Mulberry Plaza, Legacy Park, the parking lot down on Vaughn. we were able to do a CCMG project at around the same time they were working on those, and we got a lot more bang for our buck on that because of we could do some of the sidewalks with CCMG and pay half the money for it. So tried to do that as much as we could. That is wrapping up. Everything's mill and pave. I believe the only thing they have left to do on the Second and Mulberry corridor is striping. So we kind of paused everything now that we're at Regatta. We don't need anything else going on. So they've pulled their equipment, they've cleaned the barricades for the most part, and so people can get around and be where they need to be, but it looks nice just waiting on striping. West Street, all the concrete work is done. Has been quite a bit going on there. They just need to mill and pave, and then they'll come back and finish the striping there as well. So that's CCMG 1. Second one that we've had going on at the same time was done by Libs Paving, and that is basically in the footprint of the water project, where they came in, did the trenching, did various cuts. We felt like we just needed to go back and give those neighborhoods a nice new road. So Sunrise neighborhood, the entire neighborhood including Hatcher Hill, has been completed. Frank's Drive has been completed. Hillcrest, Wildwood, and a little bit of Maplewood. They started to work. All the concrete work is done in there that we're doing, but we asked them, they had a piece of equipment that went down, so we asked them just to pause until after 4th of July. We didn't want them to mill it and leave it in that state, so they'll come back after 4th of July and when their equipment is repaired and mill and pave there. And then East Street is complete as well. So, and then on East Street, we paved a little bit extra into Lorenz Park there, the parking area, just to make it a little nicer as people pull up to use the park. So that's CCMG. Any questions on that?
CCMG 1 and 2.
Yes.
Not a question, but a comment that Frank's Drive is far improved. It's great to have that smoothed out, because even before the water project, it was getting rough, and so I'm sure the residents
Many of them
there.
were, many of the streets were already not great, but when we did all that major excavation for the water, they were very poorly rated, and we thought we need to make those repairs. So
As somebody that drives that road every day to get to work, it's I'm sure the local residents are also very pleased to have a smooth road finally to drive on.
Good. All right, just wanted to update you on a couple of other traffic issues. I have ordered some traffic studies, just basic studies on a couple of areas. Vaughn Drive, 2 different places on Vaughn Drive, around the Broadway intersection and down a little farther east. We want to check speeds and the number of cars. So we also are looking at the west end coming into town. We know that speeding is still a problem down on as people are coming in and heading out of town. So we're looking at all of that. I should have results of that fairly soon. And we're looking at options, whether they are temporary or permanent, speed humps, speed tables, stop signs, whatever it might need. We'll look at those options and see if we can get some traffic slowing and calming in those places where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic.
Are you suggesting you're gonna do some trials with that? Or are you taking this, and then if you are doing a study, how is your study done?
So SERPC, we work with SERPC a lot on that. We could order traffic studies, but they can do it for us. They provide that service for us. It's not as detailed as if we hired a traffic company to do it, but it tells us the number of cars. It tells us how fast they're traveling over that area. It tells us what kind of vehicle they are. If it's a semi or a car or a SUV, it's fairly detailed. So, and when I say temporary, it's just going to depend on there are places, right, where you put a temporary piece in and it calls attention to people that they need to slow down and we can move it around. But some of them are going to need something permanent probably, so.
Specifically, what are you talking about?
Vaughn
sorry.
Drive.
Vaughn Drive.
Yes.
What is SERPC?
It's the Southeast Indiana,
Regional Planning Commission.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, too many acronyms.
Yes.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to spit all that out though, so. All right. federal highway grants, we have 2 of those going on as well for the Main Street corridor. The first one, will go out to bid. It's still set for March of '26, so they're doing their preliminary work. That would take us from the top of Hanover Hill to McIntyre, which is basically the incline bridge. Basically mill and pave on that one. There is some concrete work, so we have to repair some sidewalks. We have to bring some of them up to ADA compliance, but that's a pretty simple job. The highway grant number 2 will take us McIntyre Street to Mill, and that is also has some concrete work. We'll be saving the curbs, the natural curbs that are there. It's the limestone. I think they're limestone. So we'll be saving those. And then we're going to look at some safety grants to work in conjunction with those projects to upgrade the safety elements for crosswalks, traffic signal upgrades, that sort of thing. We're going to try and combine as much as we can to get the biggest bang for our buck on those. And East Main, I think you're all aware we're going to do some striping changes there for traffic calming. And we have all of that approved. We have the permit from NDOT to do that because it is in their footprint. And we are preparing a bid package for that right now, so that'll go out to bid to actually do that work soon. But what we'd like to do in the meantime is schedule one more public meeting for people to come look at the drawings again, make any comments, and make sure that we haven't missed anything. So that'll be coming up soon. And then my last note is on sidewalk work. I have put together a bid package, and we recently awarded it to Vyers Contracting. They did our sidewalk work last year as well. I have about $80,000 worth of sidewalks from our asset management plan for sidewalks that is getting repaired right now. They just started work on Walnut Street, I believe. So they're kind of various places, but on the list to get done. And I had a little extra concrete funds in the budget this year, so I used it for those sidewalks. And that's it.
Sorry if I missed it. Did you mention Michigan or West Street here at the bottom of Michigan Hill?
Yes, so all the concrete work is done on West Street, and they just need to come back and mill and pave. Okay. They've upgraded all the ADA ramps. They filled the trenches temporarily, then they'll come back and mill and pave.
Do we know roughly timing on that one?
It's right after 4th of July.
Right after 4th of July.
Yeah.
Sooner the better.
Yes.
Is that on West Street, is that running from Second to the Hill or for the full?
It is running from the base of the hill all the way to Main Street.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Minnie. She outlined just a need all across the community with regard to traffic management and road and sidewalk infrastructure. It's very prevalent. The need is prevalent, and we follow our asset management plans in order to direct those resources where they can be most impacted and most urgently. Moving on, we do not have any bills on third or second reading, so if there's anybody here who would like to address the City Council or Mayor's office, now would be the time to come to the podium and provide your name and address and what your comments are, please. Okay. I will give a couple of remarks. I know that everybody wants to go start your celebration with July 4th because tonight's the water ball fight, so that's always great to see the competition between our fire departments. It's a lot of fun right down on Main Street. Hopefully everybody had a chance to enjoy the Ohio Theater facade ribbon cutting and marquee lighting last Friday. Very well attended and phenomenal event. You probably saw a lot of it on social media if you weren't able to be there. I'll give you a quick update on other events. Don't forget about the parade this Friday. We're expecting thousands of visitors on Main Street like normal. Relative to the TSO modernization plan, we made a lot of progress there. I'm happy to report that just in the first week of opening the Select My Cart portal, 25% of the city's 5,000 water customers have already selected their carts, and that will stay open until July 31st. We received a lot of phone calls, but a lot of it's been done through your phone or online. Links are on our webpage for our project. projects, but anyway, that part of it's going really well too. We'll continue to keep you updated there. That complements the work we've done with the ordering and the equipment, working on our new technology platform to move everything from being manually operated there and to a platform, a cloud-based platform, and then also finalizing the design for our plant improvements, and then we'll get that ready for bid. So happy to report everything's working well there. Council, I'll turn it over to you. I'll keep my remarks brief. And we'll just mention one last thing, and that is at Board of Public Works and Safety yesterday, we had adopted a resolution to remind the community about our parking regulations, and particularly making people aware of safety on this very, very busy Main Street corridor. And we did implement a permit process that's already being utilized for reserving parking spaces, but we've asked food trucks to come to Board of Public Works and Safety for any reservation of parking spaces that they'll need for the food truck operation, and we'll do that through the normal course of Board of Public Works and Safety. Council, anything to add before we adjourn? Our next meeting will be Tuesday, July 16th.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All our guests here tonight, thank you very much. It was a very brief meeting. CJ, welcome. And we'll enjoy the 4th. We'll see everybody on the 16th.